What's up everybody, and look, I'm just gonna come right out and say it. Understanding the differences between Bitcoin and traditional money, it's not just about jumping on the hype train. This isn't some get-rich-quick scheme. This is about securing your financial future. We're diving deep into the core of what makes these two financial systems tick. We're talking decentralization, transaction speeds, security, the whole 9 yards. Because at the end of the day, knowledge is power. By the time this video is done, you'll be able to walk away with a clear understanding of how each system works, their strengths, their weaknesses, and what that means for you. Let's get started. So, what exactly is Bitcoin? In the simplest terms, it's digital money. No physical bills, no coins, just lines of code. It was created back in 2008 by this anonymous figure, or maybe even a group of people, going by the name Satoshi Nakamoto. Now here's where it gets interesting. Bitcoin operates on something called a blockchain. Think of it like a giant public ledger that records every single Bitcoin transaction ever made. And I mean every single one. This ledger is distributed across a massive network of computers around the world. So instead of one central authority like a bank controlling everything, Bitcoin is controlled by the collective power of this network. This means no more middlemen, no more banks dictating the rules. With Bitcoin, you have true ownership and control over your money. It's like the Wild West of finance, and honestly, that's what makes it so exciting. It's a completely new way of thinking about money and value. But hey, I'm not saying it's perfect. Bitcoin has its own set of challenges and risks, which we'll definitely get into later. Alright, let's talk about the system we all know, and let's be honest, sometimes love to hate traditional money. We're talking dollars, euros, yen, you name it. This is the stuff we're used to dealing with every day. We earn it through our jobs, we spend it on goods and services, and we trust those little pieces of paper or plastic to hold their value. For centuries, traditional money has been controlled by governments and central banks. They decide how much money is printed, set interest rates, and basically manage the entire financial system. Now this centralized system has its advantages. It provides a certain level of stability and familiarity. We know the rules, we know who to call if something goes wrong, and for the most part, it just works. But here's the catch. That centralized control also comes with its own set of drawbacks. Think about it. When you deposit your money in a bank, you're essentially trusting them to keep it safe and secure. And while most of the time that trust is well placed, there's always a risk involved. Chapter 3. Decentralization versus centralization, the core difference. Now this is where things get really interesting. We're talking about the fundamental difference between Bitcoin and traditional money decentralization versus centralization. Remember that blockchain we talked about earlier? The one that records all Bitcoin transactions, that's the heart of decentralization. With Bitcoin, there's no single point of control. No government, no bank, no institution can manipulate the system. It's like the internet of money. It's a distributed network that operates on consensus, meaning the majority of the network has to agree on the validity of transactions. This makes it incredibly secure and resistant to censorship. Traditional money, on the other hand, is all about centralization. Governments and central banks have the ultimate power to print more money, freeze accounts, or even devalue your savings. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. Centralized systems can provide stability and regulation, but it also means you're placing a lot of trust in those authorities to act in your best interest. With Bitcoin, you're taking control back into your own hands, you're becoming your own bank, and that's a powerful concept. Chapter 4. Transaction speeds, a need for speed. Let's talk speed. When you swipe your credit card or send money through your bank, it seems almost instantaneous, right? Well, behind the scenes, it's a different story. Traditional financial institutions have to process and verify every single transaction, and that takes time, especially when you're talking about international transfers, which can take days, even weeks to go through. Bitcoin transactions, on the other hand, are processed by the network of computers we talked about earlier. This means they can be significantly faster, especially for cross-border payments. However, there's a catch. Remember how we talked about the blockchain being like a giant public ledger? Well, verifying all those transactions takes some serious computing power, and as the Bitcoin network gets more congested, transaction times can slow down and fees can increase. It's a bit of a trade-off. Traditional money is generally faster for everyday transactions, but Bitcoin can be a game changer for larger international transfers. Chapter 5. Security and privacy, a digital fortress. When it comes to our money, security and privacy are paramount. And this is where Bitcoin and traditional money have some key differences. Traditional financial systems are vulnerable to hacking, fraud, and identity theft. We've all heard the horror stories of data breaches and stolen credit card information. Bitcoin, with its decentralized and encrypted nature, offers a higher level of security. Remember that blockchain? It's incredibly difficult to hack because you would need to control a majority of the network's computing power. Plus, Bitcoin transactions are pseudonymous. You don't need to reveal your real identity to send or receive Bitcoin. This can be a huge advantage for people who value their privacy. But, and this is a big but, Bitcoin isn't foolproof. If you lose your Bitcoin wallet or forget your private key, your money is gone forever. There's no bank to call for help. It's a double-edged sword. Bitcoin offers enhanced security and privacy, but it also requires you to take full responsibility for your own funds. Outro: the future of finance? So there you have it. We've covered the key differences between Bitcoin and traditional money. From decentralization and transaction speeds to security and privacy, both systems have their own unique advantages and disadvantages. Which one is better? Honestly, it's not about picking sides. It's about understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each system and deciding what works best for you and your financial goals. What do you think about the future of money? Are you Team Bitcoin or Team Traditional? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos on personal finance, investing, and the future of money.